My name is Judy Miller. I'm 46 years old, and for 22 years I kept Arcadia Freight Systems alive. Not in a shiny corner office, not in board meetings with glass walls and expensive water bottles. I worked from a cubicle near the loading dock elevators, where the air always smelled like printer toner, burnt coffee, and diesel from trucks backing into Bay 3. But if you bought medicine in Ohio, fresh produce in February, or emergency generators after a hurricane, there was a good chance I helped move it. They called me a contract renewal specialist. That was the polite title. The real title was simpler. I was the person everyone called when something was about to collapse. Before I continue, if this story connects with you, take a second to like and subscribe, and tell me in the comments where you're watching from. Because if you've ever been treated like you were replaceable, you'll understand exactly why I did what I did. Arcadia Freight was built by Walter Henderson, a hard, loud, impossible man who knew every fuel surcharge in North America by memory. Walter was not kind, but he respected competence. For 2 decades, we had an agreement. I kept the trucks moving. He kept people out of my way. Then Walter retired to Tuscany and handed the company to his son Travis. Travis Henderson was 33 years old, with an MBA, white teeth, expensive shoes, and the kind of confidence only rich men have when they have never fixed anything with their own hands. His first week, he changed the conference rooms to innovation pods. His second week, he fired half the janitorial staff to improve operational efficiency. By Friday, the bathrooms backed up. That should have told us everything. He also brought in Crystal, a woman with perfect hair and no visible job description. Her official title was Director of Culture Alignment. Unofficially, she followed Travis around holding a clipboard and laughing at things that were not jokes. I kept my head down. I had survived recessions, port strikes, a ransomware attack, and one winter when I routed trucks through Nebraska using paper maps and a payphone. I thought I could survive Travis too. I was wrong. The first real crack happened on a Tuesday at 10:18 a.m. I was on the phone with Big S, the Gulf Coast Union rep. His name was Samuel, but no one called him that unless they wanted trouble. We were renegotiating a 5-year lane agreement worth $40 million over the next quarter alone. Travis walked past my desk with Crystal behind him. "Judy," he said, not stopping, "we need to talk about your workstation." I covered the receiver. "My workstation? It's cluttered," he said. "Bad optics for investors." My desk was covered in manifests, renewal forms, customs notes, and legal pads full of my handwriting. To Travis, it looked messy. To me, it was the nervous system of the company. "I'm in the middle of the Gulf Coast renewal," I said. "If I stop right now, you lose New Orleans." He gave me that soft smile people use when they think they are speaking to someone outdated. "We have software for that now, Judy." Crystal giggled. Big S was still on the line. "You okay, Jude?" he asked. "Fine," I said. "Just a minor glitch in the matrix." I saved the contract anyway. No thank you came. Just an email from HR about the new clean desk policy. The breaking point came in October. Peak season had started. Halloween candy, frozen turkeys, Christmas inventory, medical shipments, electronics, all of it moving at once. I was working 12-hour days on black coffee, ibuprofen, and spite. Then the invitation landed. Subject, mandatory attendance, celebrating visionary leadership. It was Travis's birthday party, Saturday night. Henderson Estate, cocktails, innovation, celebration, mandatory for all senior staff. I read it twice. That Saturday night, I was scheduled to monitor a temperature-sensitive pharmaceutical shipment clearing customs through the West Coast. If that shipment sat too long, millions of dollars in medication would spoil. So I replied, "Happy early birthday, Travis. Unfortunately, I cannot attend. I have live logistics monitoring scheduled for a temperature-sensitive pharmaceutical shipment. Have a drink for me. Regards, Judy." Professional. Simple. Reasonable. The next morning, at 9:07 a.m., my login failed. Access denied. I typed my password again. Access denied. Then I heard the click of Crystal's heels. Travis appeared with 2 security guards. He was wearing a red tie and the expression of a man who had rehearsed his cruelty in the mirror. "We're making changes," he said. I looked at the guards. "You're firing me." "It's about culture fit," Crystal said. "You don't vibrate with the new direction." I stared at her. Then I looked at Travis. I manage 3,000 vendor relationships, I said quietly. I am the authorized signatory for the Port of Los Angeles, Teamsters Local 4004, the Gulf Coast Union, and the Cross-Border Customs Alliance. If I leave, those relationships do not automatically transfer to your software. Travis laughed. Everyone is replaceable, Judy. There it was. 22 years of emergencies, missed holidays, calls at 3 a.m., blizzards, port strikes, customs failures, and spoiled cargo prevention reduced to one sentence. Everyone is replaceable. He held out his hand. Badge. I didn't cry. I didn't yell. I removed my badge and dropped it into his palm. Then I picked up my purse, my old laptop bag, and the framed photo of my dog, Buster. At the elevator, I turned back. Tell your father I said good luck. Travis smirked. My father doesn't care about the help. He will, I said. The elevator doors closed at 9:14 a.m. By 9:45, Arcadia Freight Systems began freezing from the inside out. I sat in my 2016 Ford Explorer in the parking lot while rain tapped against the windshield. Most people panic when they get fired after 2 decades. I should have panicked too. Mortgage, health insurance, age, resume. But I had spent my adult life handling emergencies, and my emergency brain had already taken over. Only this time, I wasn't managing the crisis for Arcadia. I was the crisis. I opened my personal email. Not company email. That was gone. My personal Gmail. The one every vendor, port director, union rep, broker, and dispatcher had for emergencies. I typed one message, effective immediately. I, Judy Miller, am no longer employed by Arcadia Freight Systems. I am no longer authorized to approve service-level agreements, compliance verifications, rate negotiations, dispatch releases, or credit confirmations. Per Clause 7B of our Master Service Agreements, my departure may trigger an automatic review or suspension of service pending the appointment of a qualified successor. Please direct all urgent matters to Travis Henderson, CEO. I read it twice. It was factual. It was legal. It was devastating. Clause 7B was my old insurance policy. Years earlier, when Arcadia expanded too fast and vendors worried about getting paid, Walter asked me to build trust into the contracts. So I added a key personnel continuity clause. It meant that if I left, vendors had the right to pause service, suspend credit, or demand cash up front until they approved the replacement contact. They trusted me. Not the logo, not the software, me. Travis didn't know about Clause 7B. That was his first mistake. I sent the first email at 9:32 a.m. Allied Trucking Consortium. Sent. Bayonne Port Authority. Sent. Canadian Border Brokerage. Sent. Fleet Fuel Management. Sent. Gulf Coast Stevedores. Sent. Each click was quiet. Each click cost Arcadia something. At 9:58, Big S called. Judy, what the hell is this? I'm out, Sess. Silence. Then his voice dropped. Travis fired you? Culture fit. He swore so loudly I had to move the phone away from my ear. Who's authorizing tonight's hazmat release? Travis, I suppose. Does he have the clearance code? No. Does he know where to get it? No. Big S exhaled. Then my guys don't move. I'm not asking you to stop. You don't have to. Clause 7B, right? Clause 7B. Copy that, Jude. Trucks are parking. One domino down. By 10:40, red dots started appearing on the public fleet tracking map. A red dot meant a truck had been stationary for more than 30 minutes. Chicago, Jersey, Miami, Toledo. The system was not crashing. It was protecting itself. At 11:12, Travis called. I let it ring. He called again. I let it ring again. Then Crystal called from a blocked number. I answered. This is Judy. Her voice was already shaking. You have to give us the passwords. I don't have passwords, Crystal. I'm no longer employed there. The server is asking for a code sent to your phone. That's two-factor authentication. Well, give it to us. I can't. That would be sharing security credentials with unauthorized personnel. There was silence. Then Travis came on speaker. Stop playing games. I'm not playing games. You're sabotaging my company. No, Travis. You fired me effective immediately. You revoked my clearance. I am complying, he shouted then. Really shouted. You bitter old... I hung up. My hands trembled for exactly 5 seconds. Then my phone buzzed again. A text from Miami Mike, the cold storage foreman. Fuel cards bouncing. Reefer truck stuck. Seafood load at risk. That one hit me. Not because of Travis. Because drivers were innocent. Warehouse guys were innocent. Product was innocent. So I texted Mike back. Hook the reefers to shore power. Use emergency contingency account 8841. It's pre-funded. Save the cargo. Do not release Arcadia trucks without proper authorization. He replied in 8 words. We got you, Mama Bear. Trucks stay parked. That was when I understood something important. Arcadia didn't run on software. It ran on trust. And Travis had fired the trust. At 12:36 p.m., Marcus Thorne called. Marcus was regional vice president at Global Logistics, Arcadia's biggest rival. He had tried to recruit me for 10 years. I always said no. Loyalty used to mean something to me. Judy Miller, he said. I hear you're available. I am. Where are you? A diner on Route 9. Stay there. I'm sending a car. I'm not coming cheap, Marcus. I never thought you would. He sent a black Mercedes to a truck stop diner. I climbed in with my old laptop bag and Buster's photo still in my purse. By 1:30, I was sitting across from Marcus in a steakhouse where the waiters wore tuxedos and the water cost $9. He didn't waste time. What do you want? Autonomy, I said. Title? Senior Vice President of Strategic Operations. Salary? Double what Arcadia paid me. His eyebrow lifted. And I bring my vendors. My unions, my ports, my trust. I run the division my way. No directors of vibes. No MBA children touching safety protocols. If I say a driver gets paid extra to get home for Christmas, he gets paid. Marcus smiled. You're asking for an empire. No, I said. I'm offering you one. Then the alert hit my phone. Department of Transportation Incident Report. Arcadia freight vehicle involved in multi-car crash on I-80. Hazmat spill. My stomach turned cold. I called Big S. Tell me that wasn't yours. It wasn't one of my guys, he said. Travis hired a non-union driver off a freight board to move the chemical load. I closed my eyes. Did he have hazmat certification? No. The silence after that felt heavy enough to crush the table. The driver lived, but the spill brought the DOT, EPA, state police, and federal auditors down on Arcadia before sunset. That was no longer a delay. That was negligence. At 3:05 p.m., I drove to Arcadia's records storage facility. I still had a key. I needed original safety compliance documents, indemnity clauses, and chain of custody agreements. If Travis tried to blame me, I wanted proof. Arthur Banks, Arcadia's general counsel, found me there at 3:42. You're trespassing, he said. I'm preserving evidence. He looked exhausted. The board wants you back. No. They'll pay. No. Judy, the company is bleeding. It started bleeding when Travis fired the person applying pressure to the wound. Arthur looked down. Then he said something I never forgot. He thought you were bluffing. He didn't realize you were the system. I wasn't the system, I said. I was the person stopping it from becoming honest. At 5:18, Walter Henderson's private jet landed. I met him at the small airfield because his driver was stuck in the corporate chaos. He stormed toward my Ford Explorer, red-faced and furious. You destroyed my company, he shouted. No, Walter. I turned the lights on. He froze because I had never called him Walter before. Get in, I said. Your son fired dispatch. Nobody told the car service your flight was early. He got in. For 10 minutes, he blamed me. Then I told him everything. Clause 7B. The paused vendors. The locked fuel renewals. The hazmat driver. The federal investigation. With each fact, his anger got quieter. By the time we reached headquarters, news vans were parked outside. Police lights flashed against the glass. Walter stared at his building like he was seeing it for the first time. If I fire him, he said, will you come back? No. I'll make you COO. No. Why? Because I don't want to fix your mistakes anymore. He nodded slowly. Not because he agreed, because he finally understood. At 7 p.m., Travis was fired. At 7:40, Crystal posted on Instagram about cutting toxic people out of her life. At 8:15, Travis sent one final company-wide email calling me a traitor, a bitter cat lady, and a sabotage artist. He also accidentally attached Crystal's department budget. Except it wasn't a budget. It was a spreadsheet showing consulting fees, retreat expenses, cosmetic procedures, luxury travel, and payments to shell companies. Millions of dollars. Some of it tied to the employee pension fund. I forwarded it to Arthur with one line. You may want to call the FBI before they call you. At 9:30 p.m., Travis was arrested outside a bar. He shouted, "Do you know who I am?" No one answered. That was the part I remember most. Not the handcuffs, not the police lights, the silence. By midnight, Walter called me. His voice sounded broken. "The pension fund," he said. "It's damaged." I sat on my couch with Buster's head on my knee. I had wanted Travis ruined. I had not wanted drivers to lose retirement money. "What do you want from me?" I asked. "Help me save them." So I called Marcus. "Change of plans," I said. "We already have the clients. We're buying Arcadia." "For what?" $1. He laughed once, then stopped when he realized I was serious. "We assume pension liability," I said. "We take the fleet, the warehouses, the contracts, and the drivers. They keep their retirement." Walter walks away. "That's not sentimental," Marcus said after a long pause. "That's dangerous." "No," I said. "That's loyalty. And loyalty is the only currency Travis never understood." 3 weeks later, Global acquired Arcadia Freight Systems for $1. The article called it the acquisition of the decade. I hated the headline. My mother framed it anyway. Walter retired for good. Crystal testified against Travis and started a podcast about surviving toxic workplaces. I subscribed. It was terrible. The drivers kept their pensions. Big S sent flowers so large they had to be delivered on a pallet. The card said, "To Mama Bear, we roll when you say roll." And me? I got a glass office overlooking the harbor. Clean desk, 3 monitors, no paper piles, no stale coffee smell. But in my bottom drawer, I keep one old legal pad from my Arcadia cubicle. On the first page, in black ink, are the words Clause 7B. Sometimes people ask if I regret it. I don't. Because I didn't burn down a company. I stopped pretending one man's ego was a business model. If you are watching this and you have been the quiet person holding everything together, listen carefully. They may not see you. They may not thank you. They may call you replaceable because they don't understand what you carry. But one day, when you put down the weight, everyone will finally hear the crash. Family, companies, relationships, all of them survive on the same thing: respect. Without it, loyalty becomes a cage. And the day you walk out of that cage, they call it betrayal. I call it freedom. So if this story hit close to home, leave a comment. Tell me about the moment you finally stopped saving people who kept disrespecting you. And if you haven't subscribed yet, now is the time. There are more stories to tell. Take care of yourself, really. Because sometimes the strongest thing you can do is hand over your badge, walk out quietly, and let the system explain exactly why it needed you.